The Jews, they have been a very mischievous people even before the coming of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
The satanic Jews, they control everything and mostly everybody.
طب انا قاعد اكلمك من جوا بصير افتح الواتس تبع قول له وين شوف كيف القتلى شوف كيف قتلك فيديو يابا ابنك قتل يهود هاي دخلت في يابا الله اكبر
مصداقا لحديث نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم تقاتلون يهود حتى يقول الشجر والحجر يا عبد الله يا مسلم هذا يهودي ورائي تعال فاقتل.
October 7th was by all standards a crime against humanity with a genocidal intent. The intention was to kill and torture and injure the highest number possible of Jews just because they were Jews.
Ce qui s'est passé le 7 octobre n'est pas un attentat terroriste. C'est une horreur absolue. Ça relève d'une pathologie mentale civilisationnelle qui vise à terroriser, humilier, assassiner et faire disparaître.
It wasn't even terror attacks. It was a catastrophe that Israel never experienced as a sovereign state, and the Jewish people did not experience since the Holocaust.
What happened on October 7 was definitely a terrorist attack, if not more. What happened on October 7 was a genocide attack.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
وإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. مقتدى الصدر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
My late father, already in 1948, in the War of Independence, heard those Arab gangs assaulting Jewish places with a shout, "Idbah al-Yahud," slaughter the Jews. Not the Zionists, not the Israelis, the Jews.
It reminds me of the Holocaust by bullets, systematically using the bullet to exterminate the highest number of Jews that is very comparable to the tactics of the Einsatzgruppen.
In usual night or usual day, the area near Gaza is more or less 7,000 people. On that early morning of October 7, there were like 12,000 people because of the Nova party.
It was also a holiday in Israel. A lot of people are on vacation, a lot of soldiers are not in the army. The outposts in the border are poorly occupied by soldiers. It's a holiday. And to add on top of all this, there was a huge festival going on in Israel in an open area, almost unguarded, that Hamas perhaps saw as an opportunity to go and massacre.
They heard it from Gaza because it was very loud, and actually their spies, who they were sending to the Israeli places, kibbutzim, moshavim, to work, they actually saw the preparations. 6 in the morning, it's already sunlight, means that the kids, the boys and the girls, cannot run away because they are being seen. They were easy prey for the jihadists of Hamas.
They had all kind of equipment and ammunition of everything to kill thousands and thousands of people. They came in to be a month or more, and we saw the food that they had. We saw everything that they had to come in.
The war was planned by Iran, but not as a war between Hamas and Israel, but a big war between Israel on one side and 50 militias which operate in Iraq, 17 militias which operate in Syria, a big militia in Lebanon, which is Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas and Islamic Jihad and more organizations in Gaza. However, Hamas started a war by themselves against the will and the order from Iran. They did it because they felt that they should turn the table over the heads of the Saudis and the Israelis together, because both Saudi Arabia and Israel were advancing the relations and the talks about normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and Hamas were afraid that once this will happen, many Islamic countries will make relations with Israel.
1 week before October 7 starts, I was in Washington, D.C., speaking about peace in the Eastern Mediterranean at one of the big think tanks in DC. And I was on the panel. I am Egyptian. On my right, there was someone from Turkey. On my left, there was a speaker from Israel. And the three of us were very optimistic about the Eastern Mediterranean, about the peace, the normalization, the economic projects that can come out of it. And we were very, I would say, optimistic, but also in a very naive way. Because only 1 week after that, Hamas did the unthinkable.
For 25 years, I didn't only follow the Palestinian arena, I met Palestinians, I even met Hamas senior members. I spoke with their own language. I read their books, I read Hamas books, open space sources, media. I'm speaking about newspapers, radio, internet, social media, TV stations, everything. And the basic headline from all those sources was jihad, jihad, jihad. Not permits for workers, not good economy, not salaries, jihad.
لن تكون الرشقة 4 و5 و10 و20 و50 صاروخ، ستكون مئات الصواريخ في الرشقة الواحدة.
On October 7th, at 6 p.m. in the morning, I was woken up by the astounding alarms of the sirens. And I got up very quickly. And I have 3 daughters. And my little girl, a 7-year-old little girl, she bumped into me, asking, "Mom, what is happening? What is happening?"
My oldest, who serves in the army, brought 15 of his friends who joined us for Shabbat. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, I see them all up. Usually these kids sleep until noon. They all were up. And when I asked what's going on, they say, "Nitzana, there is a war."
بسم الله يلا بسم الله فاتحين.
At the beginning, I didn't watch the news, and then the neighbors informed me that there was a massive incursion of Hamas operatives into the western Negev. And I suddenly understood that the scenario that Israel feared most, that was supposed to happen on the northern border, we were preparing for mass invasion of Palestinian and Hezbollah operatives on the northern border. That nightmare scenario was taking place in the western Negev.
بالجنة شباب.
شو كانت وظيفتك في النخبة؟
جندي.
من امتى انت في النخبة؟
تقريبا من 8 شهور لسنة.
فاهمك. لما دخلتوا شو كانت التعليمات تبعكم؟
احنا زي ما طبيعتنا كنا بس نكتب.
يعني؟
مش مهمتنا القتل، مهمتنا القتل.
شو عملكم؟ بدكم تقتلوا كل واحد كل اللي بتشوف؟
بتشوفوا بتقتلوه ويرجع بعدين.
ما في فرق بين رجال نسوان اولاد الكل.
الله أكبر والعزة للإسلام والمسلمين. الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر. براحة براحة يا الله فاتحين. طخش وقف. سلهوش يا اخوانا توزعوا. واحد يطلع فيها خلص.
I joined the team for search and rescue in numerous places in the world, like Haiti, Brazil, Mumbai, twice in Turkey. One was a terror attack. The other one was an earthquake when we saved 19 Muslims. Comparisons with October 7th and every other incident, there's no comparison at all. The second week of the war, I went to meet a 92-year-old Holocaust survivor that he used to work with Dr. Mengele in the Holocaust by testing people. This was the worst. When I showed him the pictures that we have, the images, and what I told him what we saw, he started to cry and told me, Yossi, this was not in the Holocaust. We did not see that.
Hamas operatives intentionally chose the modus operandi of the pogromists of Tsarist Russia and of the Einsatzgruppen during World War II to reactivate a deep sense of Jewish vulnerability. It is the first massacre in human history that is transmitted on live, in Facebook, in Telegram, on social media platforms.
Talk with your country. Talk to him. We are here. Hamas, كتاب القسام is here. لفجر.
אחרי מה של החמאס כאן, בתוך הבית, אני ארוי כרגע ברגל. אנחנו כאן עם הבנות.
ידיים על האוזן.
רציתי שילדיי תישאר בחיים. לא יהיה סיכוי לך שהיא תחזור. לא יהיה סיכוי שהיא תחזור. לא.
לא מות, לא מות. רילקס.
No, his sister, my sister died.
Les nazis utilisaient la psychologie, à droite, à gauche, etc. Là, c'était l'humiliation par la douleur, l'humiliation devant les enfants, devant les amis, devant les parents. Il y a une intention là qui dépasse encore celle de la Shoah. Après la Shoah, tout le monde disait plus jamais ça. Le résultat du plus jamais ça, c'est du encore pire.
وشيوخ وإسلام ورجال وأطفال وصغير وكبير ومرض وصبي قتلوها وقطع رؤوسها كان حماس بعد ما قتلوا الناس قطع رؤوسهم جنبهم.
ايش كيف يعملوا مع النسوان اللي خطفوهم؟
بقول لك يمكن زنا اغتصاب اعتداء تحقيق كل واحد له فكره.
ובשעה 2 דופקים בדלת, ומופיע החבר שלי, גם מפיקוד העורף, והוא משמש גם ככונן באחד ארגוני ההצלה, ואומר, תראה, יש אירוע גדול, רוצים שתבוא. יש לך אמבולנס של זק"א, ורוצים שתבוא לפנות. אמרתי, מה קרה? אומר, מה, אתה לא יודע? יש מאות הרוגים, יש מחבלים שכבשו יישובים שלמים, כבשו את שדרות, כבשו את אופקים, ואני לא נתפס באוזן. אתה בטוח מה שאתה אומר? הוא אומר, כן. יש מאות של חיילים הרוגים ואזרחים הרוגים, וצריכים שתבוא דחוף לפנות.
התחלנו בעצם בכביש אל כיוון המסיבה של רעים, ועדיין המכוניות היו שם. היו שם מאות מכוניות, חלק שרופים, ירויים, הרוסים, פתוחים, עומדים בכל מיני פוזיציות משונות לצידי הדרך, ואנחנו רואים ציוד, המון ציוד, ועגלת תינוק, ומחצלת, כיסא תינוק, תיקים, כל מיני פריטים אישיים של אנשים שיצאו לקמפינג.
המכוניות עומדות איך שהן, חלקם מונעות, חלקם עם אורות דלוקים, חלקם עם וינקר לצד שמאל, ההוא עם וינקר לצד ימין, הכל עומד ככה, רכבים באמצע הכביש, גופות בתוך המכוניות, מחוץ למכוניות, חלקם שוכבים, חלקם יושבים, חלקם זירת קרב.
ואז אנחנו מגיעים לאזור המסיבה. זה היה נראה כאילו תכף יכולה להתחיל פה מסיבה. זאת אומרת, הכל היה שם עדיין.
יש לי פה הרוגים. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 הרוגים. יש פה מישהו. יש לי פה שוטרת. יש לי שוטרת הרוגה פה. יש בפנים. אוי ואבוי. אוי ואבוי.
וכמובן מיד המחשבות עוברות למה באמת היה פה. ואני ככה מסתובבת וסופגת את כל זה פנימה. אני לא חושב שבאמת אפשר היה להבין.
לראות את המראות האלה ואת החומרה של הפציעות, זה לא פציעות, זה מה שהרג את הבן אדם. לראות את החומרה של ההתעללות בגופה, לראות שאחרי שהבן אדם כבר קיבל כדור בראש, עוד שרפו את הגופה שלו וחתכו אותה בכל מיני מקומות. זה לא דברים שתיארתי לי שאני אפגש. שם צריך ארכיאולוגים בשביל למצוא את הגופות. שם צריך לפנות שפוכת של הרס בשביל לגלות עוד חתיכה של איזו ילדה נהדרת. זה לא מצב של לפנות בית מאנשים חיים. אז החבר'ה שם אמרו לי, פה אתה באמת בגיהנום.
שמה לדוגמה מצאנו במקום אחד שיניים. היו מספר אירועים של שיניים, שיער, קרקפת, עצמות, הרבה דם, הרבה דם.
אתה רואה גופות שכל משפחה נמצאים ביחד. אתה רואה גופות, ואתה חושב רגע באותו רגע, מה קרה לאותה משפחה שכולנו נמצאת ביחד? הם ניסו להיות ביחד כי הם יודעים שזה הרגע האחרון שלהם. אתה רואה, כאילו ראינו גופות שעלו במדרגות בשביל אולי לנסות לעלות לעליית גג, כי הבית שלהם עלה באש, ומצאנו אותם שרופים. ואתה שואל את עצמך, מה עברו לאותם אנשים באותם רגעים אחרונים, שהם מבינים שזה הסוף?
כשנכנסתי לבארי, אז ממש, כאילו באותו יום העולם התהפך עליי. בוא נגיד שעד אז, כאילו אמנם אמרתי, ראיתי כאילו זירות איומות, כבישים, מלחמה. ראיתי מלחמה. כשנכנסתי לתוך הבתים עצמם, או אפילו שהלכתי, אני זוכר שהלכתי באיזושהי נקודה בבארי, ואני רואה בחורה קשורה עם הראש, כאילו כמו פלנלית כזאת, משהו, זה לא היה משהו ברזל, זה היה כאילו, הראש שלה היה קשור לעץ, כאילו העיניים והראש שלה ככה, ידיים כפותות לאחורה, ערומה כביום היוולדה. היה עליה מקבץ בגב של ירי, ואתה רואה כאילו אתה רואה אני אגיד את זה במילים האלה, שאנסו אותה. כאילו, אנסו זה עדין, לדעתי, למה שעשו בגוף הזה, כן?
أول شيء ما تخرجش على الملوية بعدنا وفي الشيشة قعدنا في الأوضة وكلنا طمع وشربنا مية قعدنا بعدين وقفنا سمع صوت صغار
شو الصوت اللي سمعته؟
صوت تمتمة صغار ومش عارف شو طحنا في البيت احنا
تقدر سامعني عشان افهم؟
عياط ولد صغار ولد صغير زي هيك
كأنه ايش؟ سوي انت؟
ولد بعيط
اوكي
طخيت انا وطخ احمد ابو كمال طخينا على الباب
لحد ما
بعدين بطلنا نسمع صوت. אנשים חשבו שהמקום הכי בטוח שלהם בבית יגן עליהם, ולא. גם מצאת גופות שרופות בממדים, וגם ילדים שהתחברו בארונות, כי הם לא יודעים מה זה ממ"ד. זאת אומרת, ילדים קטנים לא יודעים מה זה ממ"ד. אז הם התחברו בחדר שינה שלהם, התחברו מאחורי הדלת, ומצא אותם מאחורי הדלת שלהם באירועים.
אתה רואה מקום שהיה בו בית, הבית הזה נחרב לגמרי, ויש מזרון, ועל המזרון שוכבת בחורה עירומה, יש לי איזה מוסרט. הבחורה העירומה הזאת, ניסינו להרים אותה מהמזרון, אי אפשר. היא הייתה קשורה עם חוטי ברזל, חשבתי שרק למזרון. אז ניסינו להוציא את המזרון ולהוציא אותה עם המזרון, התברר שהבן זוג שלה קשור אליה, מהצד השני של המזרון. בחוטי ברזל העבירו ביניהם.
אני רואה תמונה של הילדים, שהם כמובן אף אחד מהם לא בין החיים.
גם, כאילו, זה החיבור למציאות, לזוועות שהיו שם, התמונה. וכמובן, עברנו עוד בתים ועוד בתים, והסיפור חוזר על עצמו, שיש שם תמונות של בני המשפחה. מזעזע. אני חושבת שזה היה יותר מזעזע בשבילי מאשר לטפל בגופות עצמן.
I was asked a lot of all kinds of trying to denials, just to look in their own cameras what they did by beheading people and by burning people, and we have that on their own video from them pouring gasoline on a live person while he's begging for his life and just burning him alive. Or having a car that they have 4 or 5 people in that car and just adding flammable equipment, it should come to 4,000 degrees. Nothing has been left over, only ashes. Taking a young mother and just butchering open her stomach, stabbing the baby in the head, a young pregnant woman. And while the 7-year-old child is in the room and asking for his life and is being slaughtered in that room, that young mother saw what they did to the baby. We came into a house, we saw the father and mother, there were hands tied to the back. Yes, they were cut out body pieces. And against them, there was 2 children with the same position. They were cut body pieces.
In the kindergarten of the kibbutz of Be'eri, there was dried blood on the floor. And this was mixed blood of adults and children. Because when the Hamas operatives entered Be'eri, accompanied, and I insist, by over 1,000 Palestinian civilians. Civilians took a massive part in the massacre.
זה לא, אתה לא יכול להשוות את זה. כי פה לא רצחו, פה נכנסת על בתים, לא רצחו פה אנשים. פה התעללו באנשים כדי שימותו על הדרך באיזושהי צורה הכי קשה, וזה לא משנה בין כמה היה בן אדם. זה לא משנה אם הוא היה בן 2, הוא היה בן 100. אין הבדל. היו ילדים בלי ראש וידיים, והיו מבוגרים אותו דבר. אתה רואה באיזושהי זירה שולחן חג, כאילו, את החג לא אכלו האנשים בבית, את החג אכלו המחבלים בבית. אתה מבין שפה, כאילו, בחדר הם רצחו אנשים, ופה הם ישבו לאכול, לפני, אחרי, באמצע, תוך כדי, אין לך מושג.
لأنه في غزة اللي باخد أسرى له مكافأة.
قديش المكافأة قالوا لكم؟
هو شقة منزل بيت $10,000.
اللي بيجيب كل أسير باخد شقة ومنزل؟ مين قال لكم إياها هاي؟
كانوا يحبوها في القسام يعني.
خمسين معاه. هات معاشير. مروان روحت معاه بمروان. مروان هات شو هات. مروان. الله أكبر
إذا ما قدر الله سبحانه وتعالى وجاء موعد نصر الله والفتح انطلقنا بكم وبفلذات أكبادكم بأبنائكم لنغسل العار عن هذه الأمة ونطهر المقدسات إن شاء الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
את סנואר הכרתי הרבה שנים, היו לי שיחות רבות איתו, וכקצין מודיעין היו שיחות משמעותיות, גם על האסירים, גם על כוונות של האסירים, בתוך בתי הכלא לבצע מהלכים מסוימים שהוא הוביל אותם. ב-2004 אני הייתי מהרופאים שהבחנו את האירוע המוחי שהיה לו, ופינינו אותו לבית החולים. ובכך גם הצלנו את החיים שלו. אז מי שמגדיר אותו פסיכופת הוא עושה לו הנחה. הוא בעצם אומר, מה שהוא עשה, הוא לא היה מודע למה שהוא עשה. זה בן אדם שחולה בנפשו, לוקה בנפשו. זה לא נכון. סנואר הוא לא פסיכופת. סנואר ידע בדיוק מה הוא עושה. זה חלק מתפיסת העולם שלהם. זה חלק מתפיסת העולם של האחים המוסלמים. זה חלק מהג'יהאד כנגד היהודים. שמבחינתם אין לנו זכות קיום פה.
معنويات الشباب يا ابو باده. دعوات يا اخواني يا شباب. في حدا؟ خد ساتر خش. خد ساتر يا طيب.
If you read Hamas Covenant that was published in 1988, the first paragraph is Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. First of all, they were actually a social system or a civil infrastructure. And you know, this is the heart of every Muslim Brotherhood movement. First of all, it's not a jihad. Ahmad Yassin, the founder of Hamas, he preached to his people, to the members of the Muslim Brotherhood in Gaza, that we are a very special branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. In contrary, different to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and in Jordan, who are focused only on the social aspect, but they do not involve in military activities. We are different because we are confronting the infidels, El Yahud, the Jews, and this is the case we face. It means that we need also to think about the jihad. The moment came on the end of December 1987, immediately after the first Intifada began. Ahmad Yassin actually took advantage of this event and declared about the establishment of Hamas, Harkat al-Mukawama al-Islamiyya, the movement of the Islamic resistance.
Supposedly, it was just the small brother of the Muslim Brotherhood. However, over the years, it aligned with countries, with states, with other organizations globally. First, it aligned with Iran. Despite the gap between them, Iran is Shiite, Hamas is Sunnite, yet Iran adopted Hamas and used it as its proxy in the southern part of Israel. Qatar, as a country that funds any terror organization on earth, aligned with Hamas and funded it, supported it, hosted its leaders in its territory. So these are main countries. Turkey, recently under Erdogan, who became Muslim extremist, adopted Hamas.
אני דיברתי עם אסירים מכל הארגונים, מהפתח, מהחזית העממית, מהג'יהאד האסלאמי ומהחמאס. חמאס מנהל נגדנו מאבק שהוא מאבק דתי, הוא לא מאבק לאומני. להבדיל מהפתח, הפתח זה ארגון שנקרא תנועה לשחרור פלסטין. ברור שהמאבק שלהם הוא מאבק לאומני. חמאס זה חרקת מוקאומה אסלאמיה, תנועת התנגדות אסלאמית. אין פה את האזכור של המילה פלסטין. סנואר כשהשתחרר ב-2011, הוא שם צעיף ירוק. הם שמים, מניפים דגלים ירוקים, לא דגלים של פלסטין. אני לא הופתעתי מהמהלך שעשו חמאס. זה היה ברור שהם מחכים לרגע, שהם יזהו חולשה של ישראל והם יתקפו אותנו. למתקפה הזו, אני לא הופתעתי מהמתקפה הזו, אבל אני מופתע ממידת האכזריות. כלומר, לאנוס נשים ולשרוף תינוקות בעודם בחיים, זו אכזריות פנאטית, ג'יהאדיסטית, שהיא נובעת משנאת יהודים, מאנטישמיות. זה מעשים שעשו הנאצים. כששאלתי אותו האם כדאי לחטוף חייל כדי לשחרר 300 או 400 אסירים, האם שווה כבר לשלם מחיר של אלפי הרוגים, גם מחבלי חמאס וגם אזרחים, בשביל לשחרר 300 אסירים? מה ההיגיון? אז הוא אמר לי, ולא רק הוא, כל אסירי החמאס, שימותו גם 20,000. ימותו 20,000 כדי לשחרר 300 אסירים. כלומר, המחיר שהם מוכנים לשלם בחיי אזרחים, אנחנו רואים את זה היום. כדי לשחרר כמה אסירים בבתי הכלא, הוא גם מוכן שימותו היום 100,000 אזרחים בעזה. סנואר לא פוחד למות. אם הוא ימות כשהיד, זה ישלים את התחושה שלו עכשיו שהוא סלאח א-דין. הוא מרגיש עכשיו שהוא סלאח א-דין. מה שהוא עשה לישראל, לא עשה אף מנהיג ערבי בהיסטוריה האחרונה.
October 7th is the only and single massacre of the 21st century that has been almost immediately contextualized.
It is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation.
When Antonio Guterres qualified that crime of October 7th as not happening in a vacuum, basically he justified the crime a posteriori. It didn't happen in a vacuum, I agree. It happened in the non-vacuum of 2,000 years of anti-Jewish violence. Basically, what we saw on October 7th was the quintessence of anti-Jewish violence. During the Second Intifada, terror attacks happened in Israel, but they didn't happen in a vacuum. We were an occupying force. So there was a reason why little girls their bodies were splashed and exploded. Because at the end of the day, they were an occupying force.
وجود إسرائيل هو اللي بخلق كل هذه الآلام والعذابات والدموع والدماء. هي إسرائيل مش إحنا ضحية الاحتلال، نقطة وآخر السطر. لذلك ما حدا يلومنا، إحنا شو اللي بنعمله. في 7 أكتوبر، في 10 أكتوبر، في مليون أكتوبر، إحنا اللي بنعمل مبرر. It is justified، مبررة.
The third echo that comes to mind is of course Daesh. Why? Because they decapitated people, they dismembered bodies, they mutilated bodies, they mutilated genitals. So there is something about this Islamist fundamentalist, extremely violent act that was reproduced in the October 7th massacre.
There was indoctrination of the whole population and mainly the youth, the young generation, really to consider the Jews and the Israelis as beasts or insects or not humans. And the results of this indoctrination was October the 7th.
Haifa was an oasis near Medina, and Jews were living there, and Muhammad assaulted them one day and slaughtered the men, took the ladies. The history of Islam mentions many places which Muslims massacred others. It was in Sindh, in what the Pakistan is, when they murdered millions of Buddhists and Hindus. It happened in this place, in Hebron, in 29. It also happened in Jerusalem, it also in Tabaria, it also happened in Jaffa, and this was before the occupation.
Il y a eu des centaines et des milliers de pogroms dans le monde musulman. Et aucun pays musulman n'a été épargné.
We also saw the massacre of Christians in Lebanon, for example in Damour, and this is actually one of the long series of massacres in Lebanon, which also you can look at the revenge which Christians took against Muslims, against the Palestinians, in Sabra and Shatila later. The problem with massacres is not only a result of Islam, it's also part of the tribal culture of the Middle East. The tribal culture, it is very old, way much older than the Islamic creed, because tribalism in the Middle East is the name of the social gain.
The Turks committed horrible genocide against the Armenians, and they still commit war crimes against the Kurds, but they will never admit that they made it. In Jordan, more than 50 years ago, the Jordanian regime slaughtered more than 20,000 Palestinians. They will never admit that it was done. And according to many polls that were committed during the last half a year, I mean Palestinian polls, 92% of the Palestinians, they do not believe that the horrible events of October the 7th took place.
Mainly in the Arab media, they did not mention anything about the attack on civilians. They only said it's just another clash between Israeli soldiers and Hamas militants. And if you live in the region like me, actually this piece of news we hear every now and then, so it's not a big piece of news.
According to Islam, any land has only one-way ticket to enter Islam, not to get out of Islam. This is why, by the way, Spain should return to be Islamic. The island of Sicily should return to be Islamic. Large parts of the Balkans, all the way up north to the gates of Vienna, where they were defeated in September 11, 1683. And of course, this land, Palestine, which was occupied in the 7th century by Muslims, should remain forever as Islamic land. The Jews themselves, the people, they should live as dhimmis, under the yoke of Islam, under the rule of Islam. A Jew has no right to a state, army, police, government, or any other manifestation of sovereignty. Jews should pay the jizya, means skull tax or head tax, while they are humiliated, as it is stated in the Quran. Jews, as of the 9th century, should bear yellow patch. This was invented in Baghdad of the 9th century, not in Germany of the 20th century. By the way, Christians should have a patch in the color of pink.
Il y a une continuité dans l'exécration des Juifs et leur humiliation permanente, ce qui est le statut de dhimmi. Il y a une continuité, d'ailleurs, entre le mouvement nazi et ce qui se passe aujourd'hui. Il y a une vraie continuité historique. Le personnage clé, c'est Amin al-Husseini, nommé grand moufti de Jérusalem par les Britanniques. Cet homme va lancer toutes les guerres, y compris les pogroms anti-juifs, dans sa guerre contre les Britanniques. Mais il ne revendiquait pas une indépendance de la Palestine. Il revendiquait le rattachement à la Grande Syrie. En 1936, il y a un monsieur qui avait fui la Syrie française à cause de ses activités terroristes, qui s'appelle Ezzedine Al-Qassam, qui va lancer avec Amin al-Husseini les grands pogroms de 1936, dans lesquels d'ailleurs il va mourir dans les grottes autour de Jenin. Amin al-Husseini à Jérusalem avant-guerre était tout le temps fourré chez l'ambassadeur nazi à Jérusalem.
Wichtig die Tatsache entgangen, dass Palästina zurzeit ja gar nicht von deutschen Truppen, sondern von Engländern besetzt ist. Und mit brutalsten Gewaltmitteln in seiner Freiheit beschränkt und seine Unabhängigkeit gebracht wird. Und zugunsten jüdischer Eindringlinge die grausamsten Misshandlungen erduldet.
Après la guerre d'Europe, un nombre considérable, il n'y a pas qu'Aloïs Brunner en Syrie, des dizaines et des dizaines de dignitaires nazis se retrouvent dans les pays arabes. Beaucoup d'ailleurs se convertissent à l'islam. Il y en a beaucoup en Syrie, il y en a beaucoup en Égypte. Et ils travaillent dans le renseignement, dans la propagande anti-juive. Ils étaient plutôt experts. La continuité de l'idéologie nazie allait très bien au mouvement islamiste.
I was raised in Egypt, raised and grew up in Egypt. So I was, every Friday sermon, I heard the imam in the mosque, saying curses against Israel and against the Jewish people. On the Egyptian media, I always saw in things like, TV shows and movies, and so the Jewish people were always demonized in a certain way, and Israel was always called an enemy.
سنقاتلهم وسنهزمهم وسنستأصل شأفتهم فلا يعود على ظهر الأرض يهودي واحد.
And here we must mention that there are other interpretations of Islam, especially in the Gulf. You can see the Gulf Emirates, which follow totally different line, even Saudi Arabia.
This conflict is only and only about the legitimacy of the Jewish people to live in its land. And I will tell you why. The Palestinian people as a people did not exist up until very recently. And the Palestinian movement, in and by itself, was in fact a movement that was triggered, strengthened, empowered by external global powers. And the first one of them was the Soviet Union. KGB archives were revealed to the world by late Soviet dissident Vladimir Bukovsky and by the KGB defector Nikolai Mitrokhin. Both of them published the confidential documents revealing the intimate relationship between the KGB and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The intimate relationship between the Palestinian movement and Soviet Moscow was multifaceted. Yasser Arafat himself was actively supported by the KGB and by Soviet officials.
KGB, which was totally disappointed with the state of Israel, which in the beginning was a socialist country, but little by little it became more and more Western. The Arabs, of course, and others decided to create something which will be against the Zionism, against the Jewish people, against the Western colony, as they called it, here in the Middle East. And they invented the Palestinian idea in order to fight the Zionist idea, especially in the West. PLO has never changed, neither its charter nor its plans. And they don't even have any problem to show their plans. Look at this scarf. This is the Palestinian flag. On one side, it says in Arabic, Al-Quds Lana. Jerusalem is ours. On the other side is Palestine. That's what it says here. Palestine means Palestine. From the river to the sea. So where is Israel?
We create a new people. Instead of being the refugees, to be fighters. This is very important.
This idea of a Palestinian people, this modus operandi of struggling via massive terror attacks, at the beginning it was a Soviet idea. It was an idea that was conducted to contain and crush the Zionist entity in the Middle East and contain the so-called US imperialism in the Middle East.
إنما الحقيقة هي أن هذا مشروع استعماري
لزرع جسم غريب في هذه المنطقة.
The entire world is presenting Mahmoud Abbas or his movement as a viable alternative to create a Palestinian state. But the very DNA of that movement is one of state, official, institutionalized Soviet anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism combined with a very strong denial of the Holocaust.
كانوا يبكوا على المحرقة الكاذبة أيام هتلر وهي لم تكن بهذا العدد الكبير، وأريد أن أنوه أنها كانت أكذوبة. نعم هي كانت أكذوبة، وتآمر كثير من الإسرائيليين أو من اليهود مع هتلر حتى يكون بوابة إلى فلسطين من أجل جلب المستوطنين.
Quand on nous parle de frontières de 67, on se fout de notre gueule. Il n'y a pas de frontières de 67. Il y a une ligne d'armistice de 49. Les Arabes n'ont jamais voulu signer la paix. Comme ils n'ont jamais voulu un État, ils l'ont refusé en 37, le plan Pile. Ils l'ont refusé en 47. Ils l'ont refusé en 67, les 3 noms de Khartoum. Ils l'ont refusé en 2000. Et les Occidentaux ne veulent pas voir ce qui se passe.
I killed myself to give the Palestinians a state. I had a deal they turned down that would have given them all of Gaza, all of Gaza, between 96 and 97% of the West Bank, compensating land in Israel, you name it.
Usually there is an organization by the UN that takes care of all the refugees worldwide. And yet, under the pressure of the Arab League, the UN created a new organization, a unique organization that will take care only the rights of the Palestinian refugees. This is UNRWA. But instead of taking care of the refugees, what UNRWA was doing is stopping them from integrating into the new places that they went to, stopping them from finding jobs in the areas that they went to, stopping them from marrying other people in this area, stopping them from rehabilitating their life. Why? Because they wanted to keep them in a status of refugee. They told them that they are refugees and will forever remain refugees until the time they go back to their homes in Israel.
آبائنا وأجدادنا ودماء شهدائنا فيها. إن شاء الله بعملكم شاي اليوم، والسنة الجاي بعملكم إياه في هربيا في ديواني هناك. إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. من أي مدرسة أنت؟ بيت حنون الابتدائية للاجئات. إن شاء الله حترجعوا لبلادكم. من أي بلد أنت؟ وأنت؟ كلكم من بيت حنون. الله الله الله. بيت حنون برضه فيها الارض كتير في ال 48 محتلينها اليهود. باذن الله. بدلوها بالفلوجه. باذن الله هعملكم استضيفكم السنه الجايه زي هالجيتي في ديواني في هربيا ان شاء الله وهي محرره. قولوا امين.
Je rappelle que pour avoir le statut de réfugié, il fallait démontrer qu'on habitait dans la région depuis 2 ans. Depuis 2 ans seulement. Pas beaucoup, hein? Et surtout une iniquité absolue, notamment à l'égard de ces fameux Arabes de Palestine. Le statut indéfini de génération en génération de réfugiés. Ça veut dire que les Arabes de Palestine n'ont d'autre avenir possible que d'être réfugiés ou de détruire Israël.
So now, instead of 600,000 refugees that fled Israel in 1948, today there are 6 million of them living in dismal state, in refugee camps in Gaza, in Judea and Samaria, in Lebanon and Jordan, waiting for the day to exercise their right of return in Israel.
Ça a des conséquences gravissimes Et la vraie question, les créateurs et les accepteurs de cette situation, l'ont-ils accepté sciemment ou étaient-ils cons au point de ne pas voir que c'était là une bombe à retardement? Quoi, les gens les plus intelligents de la planète, les diplomates les plus férus, les mieux formés, ne voient pas? Oui, ce statut inique a été volontaire de la part de la communauté internationale.
On October 7th, we learned that UNRWA actually takes part in destroying Israel. 12 employees of UNRWA participated in the massacre. During the war, the IDF found missiles and rockets in UNRWA's facilities. They found tunnels underneath UNRWA's facilities. Research found out that 10% of the employees of UNRWA are Hamas people. UNRWA is a UN organization that works against Israel. They side with the terrorists, they side with Hamas, they incite the people that they are taking care of to hate Israel. They teach children in their schools to actually carry out genocides against Israel. This is UNRWA.
Comment expliquer la dérive des humanitaires à l'occasion de ce conflit? C'est compliqué. En tout cas pour moi, ça a un côté désespérant. Ça signifie l'échec du combat de toute ma vie. Mais ça ne date pas d'aujourd'hui.
Hamas is the only one who really dictates what is happening in Gaza. And all those organizations, of course, UNRWA and Red Cross and Amnesty, and of other international human rights organizations, and they speak only about Palestinians. There is almost nothing about the massive, broad rape of Jewish women. Nothing about burning babies. Nothing about horrible massacres. How can it be? How can it be?
Prenons le cas de la Croix-Rouge. 1859, bataille de Solferino. Un jeune voix passe par là, mais il est effaré par le massacre, effaré par l'abandon sans soin des blessés sur le champ de bataille. Il va écrire un livre, Solferino, et tenter de créer un truc magnifique, une œuvre de solidarité auprès des blessés des conflits. Ça va créer les Croix-Rouges nationales et le Comité international de la Croix-Rouge. La Première Guerre mondiale arrive, on voit des ambulances de la Croix-Rouge sur tous les champs de bataille. La Deuxième Guerre mondiale arrive. Les délégués de la Croix-Rouge acceptent le montage nazi de Treblinka. Ils ne voient pas d'exaction, la Croix-Rouge ne voit rien. La Croix-Rouge va à Auschwitz. C'est un champ avec des baraquements, des crématoires, entourés de barbelés. On voit à travers les barbelés. Les délégués de la Croix-Rouge ont vu les déportés, ont vu la fumée des crématoires au loin qui sortait des cheminées, ont senti l'odeur des cadavres calcinés. Ils écrivent qu'ils n'ont aucune preuve de massacre de masse à Auschwitz. « 1945, le vice-président de la Croix-Rouge internationale s'appelle Folke Bernadotte. Folke Bernadotte veut faire un convoi maritime pour évacuer des déportés vers la Suède. Il trouve des Français, des Russes, des Polonais. Il n'a pas trouvé un seul Juif dans les camps de déportation nazis. Pour le récompenser, il deviendra médiateur de l'ONU au Proche-Orient.
This is a world that sometimes you don't believe you live at. Since the day of the independence war, the UN constantly is working against Israel. The General Assembly is against Israel. The Security Council is against Israel unless United States there to watch for us, to issue veto decisions. The Secretary General is constantly ruling against Israel. The UN Human Rights Commission is against Israel. The Red Cross, which is a UN organization, is against Israel. I can't give it another word, but simply anti-Semitism.
The draft resolution L30 before us today, we are deeply concerned by its many problematic elements, too many to name in full. For example, there is no specific condemnation of Hamas for perpetrating the horrific October 7th attacks. Neither is there any reference to the terrorist nature of those actions. While we appreciate the addition of language calling for the immediate release of hostages, unfortunately, the text makes no distinction between hostages who were brutally abducted by a terrorist organization that heeds no international law, whose whereabouts are unknown, and who, according to credible UN reporting, are likely experiencing repeated sexual violence, and detainees whose fate is regulated and governed by legal processes. Let me be clear, these groups are not equivalent.
L'antisémitisme, on l'a vu arriver sous le visage d'un obsessionnel antisionisme depuis 20 ans. Il y a eu en 2011 une histoire terrible. En Ouganda, un camion d'essence explose. Il y a des problèmes ophtalmologiques. Il y a une association israélienne qui est allée immédiatement sur place pour essayer d'apporter de l'aide. Et il y a MSF Hollande qui envoie des ophtalmologistes aussi. Ils sont logés dans le même hôtel. MSF Hollande refuse de parler, refuse de saluer, refuse de serrer la main de leurs confrères israéliens au motif qu'ils sont israéliens. Ça en dit long sur leur perception de l'éthique médicale.
On top of all this, obviously, you have to add all the organizations that are aligned and compliant with Hamas. The charities, Union of Good, charities in Qatar, charities in Malaysia, a lot of organizations that are supposed to help humanitarian causes just joining forces and helping Hamas.
You can find anti-Jewish sentiment in two environments. One is the European Christian Western environment, and the other one in the Arab Islamic Eastern environment. There is a meeting or combination of Islamic, Arab, Eastern Jew hatred, which migrates to the West. And this way, you have an amplification of the hatred of Jews by both environments, which are today combined together. In the streets of Paris, for example, this is what you hear.
Je m'appelle Enda Ayari, je suis d'origine maghrébine. Je suis née en Normandie et c'est la ville où j'ai grandi et où je vis toujours. Donc j'ai fait mes études en France et puis à l'âge de 21 ans, j'ai décidé de porter le voile à l'université. Et quand je suis partie en vacances en Tunisie, j'ai été mariée de force à un homme que je ne connaissais pas, qui était salafiste. Suite à ce mariage, j'ai été radicalisée. Le salafisme, c'est vivre comme à l'époque du prophète, c'est-à-dire pas le droit d'avoir une télévision, la radio, pas le droit de sortir, pas le droit de fréquenter ce qu'on appelle les mécréants, c'est-à-dire les Français, et puis notamment les Juifs, qui sont nos principaux ennemis.
It's a whole culture that is based on other values, other moral, other ways to define, you know, human existence.
The peace agreement between Egypt and Israel is one of the greatest things that happened in history. But unfortunately, this is not the opinion of the Arabs. This is not the opinion of my own family, for example, of my own neighbors. They have always seen, up till today, they are still seeing Israel as an enemy, despite the peace treaty, despite the excellent and unprecedented security and economic cooperations that happened in the past, let's say, 7 to 10 years after the Arab Spring. Despite Israel proving that it is a very good neighbor to Egypt, to Jordan, and to other Arabs, in contrast to terrorist organizations like Hamas, for example, despite all of that, Arabs and Egyptians still view Israel as an enemy.
Dans la doctrine islamiste, que ce soit le salafisme ou bien les frères musulmans, l'antisémitisme est une obligation. On ne peut pas être considéré comme un bon musulman si on n'est pas antisémite, parce que les juifs sont vraiment considérés comme les pires de tous. On ne les considère pas comme des êtres humains normaux. On attise la haine à leur encontre en utilisant les textes religieux de manière à manipuler les musulmans. Petite fille, quand je passais mes vacances en Tunisie, je ne comprenais pas, lorsque ma mère se mettait très très en colère, la pire des insultes que j'avais reçues, c'était « sale juive » en arabe. J'ai pris la décision de quitter mon ex-mari parce qu'il me maltraitait et surtout parce que mon ex-mari voulait que mes deux enfants, mes deux fils deviennent des djihadistes. Quand je lui ai posé la question si nos garçons devaient faire le djihad en Palestine, il m'a dit oui, c'est une obligation. Après le 7 octobre, comme beaucoup de personnes, j'ai été totalement bouleversée par ce qui s'était passé. Et à ce moment-là, j'ai décidé de m'exprimer sur les réseaux sociaux. J'ai publié une photo de moi avec le drapeau palestinien et le drapeau israélien en écrivant un long message pour appeler à la paix. J'ai littéralement été assaillie de messages haineux, de menaces, d'insultes de la part de beaucoup de personnes qui me reprochaient de soutenir les Israéliens.
If you watch carefully about the demonstration that took care in many capitals of Europe, you will see that the leading force of those demonstrations are the Muslim communities in France and UK and Sweden and other places. And it means that the society itself is being changed. Because, you know, it's not only a matter of, yeah, we are with Gaza and not with Israel. It's a matter of values.
I decided to stand up for the victims of October 7 and tell my fellow Arabs and Muslims that what happened was really a massacre, was really a crime against humanity, not only against Israel or the Jewish people. But sadly, I received a horrible backlash from my fellow Egyptians, fellow Muslims, fellow Arabs. Some of them even went as far as going to my mother's home looking for me. And they wanted to inflict physical harm on me as a punishment for me not being a good Muslim in their opinion. And sadly also it didn't stop at that point. Even the Egyptian government decided to join the extremists in chasing me. And they started to file claims against me, accusing me of spying for Israel. And eventually I had to leave my home country.
qui m'a encore plus choquée, c'est le déni à l'égard des femmes israéliennes qui ont été victimes de viols et de tortures. Et c'est vrai que c'est quelque chose que j'ai pas compris, parce que j'ai moi-même été victime d'un viol, et c'est vrai que quand on libère sa parole, c'est très important aussi sur le fait d'être entendu et soutenu.
Most of these women who were raped and abused were killed either during the rape or immediately after the rape. Some women were even raped after being killed, as it was reported. So those reports are useful, but they will not be able to cross the role of this ideological resistance of woke culture that makes a difference between Jewish and non-Jewish victims.
لا لا سبية سيبوها سيبوها سبية سيبوها رجعها.
On the morning of October 7th, Hamas brutalized, bound, burned, murdered, beheaded, and sexually assaulted young girls and women in Israel. They raped young girls at a music festival and threw their dead, naked bodies into piles on top of each other. They rape women and teenage girls with such force and mutilation that medical examiners found them with shattered pelvises and missing organs. They rape the dead bodies of women. They dragged women through the streets and paraded them as their conquests to cheering crowds. Rape was a premeditated, orchestrated, deliberate tactic of war. As a feminist and activist, I have stood shoulder to shoulder with women my entire adult life. Women who look like me and women who don't. Together, we were the first to sign Me Too. We marched at the original women's marches. We advocated for the safe return of the girls kidnapped by Boko Haram. We joined the calls to end Asian hate and Islamophobia. We supported Black Lives Matter. We campaigned for LGBTQ rights. We spent months protesting for women life freedom. We flew to the US-Mexico border to demand the reunification of families. We fought to protect our democracy. But then, on October 7th, I suddenly found myself completely alone. The champions I had stood next to so many times through so many injustices just disappeared.
Jewish women are way too ugly to be raped. And with a condom. Jewish women are too ugly to be raped? How nice.
حوالي في أول الثلاثينات.
أبوك أولا.
ثم أنا ثم أحمد وحسن. بعدين احنا طلعنا. أنا طلعت قبل أبوي وحسن. طلعت أنا وأحمد.
ايوه بعد ما عرفت الصفحة شو؟
طلعنا.
كيف شو؟
طلعنا من البيت.
بس هي ضلت عايشة؟
لا أبوي قتلها. هو قال لي بعد ما طلعنا احنا قال لي قتلنا.
Each and every detail had to be proved and was contested. It was about people who were burnt alive. It was contested. It was about women who were raped. We were asked to provide evidence. It was about the babies who were burnt alive in the arms of their own mothers. It was about the beheaded babies. And we had to constantly bring evidence of the reality of that massacre. And I think we were the only ones in the world. In Darfur and in Bucha and in Srebrenica, nobody asked for evidence and proof. And here Israel, because of this widespread, insidious machine of contextualization, we had to constantly justify what happened in reality. I would call that crime, it's a crime against humanity with a genocidal intent that is being simultaneously denied and contextualized. And that makes that crime unique.
How can it be that in October 7, Israel experienced a massacre, and in October 8, the entire world, or a lot of people in the world, trying including for Hamas.
Hamas, of course, let the international channels to broadcast only the things that they want to screen to the world. Hamas is a totalitarian regime in Gaza. There is no freedom of speech in Gaza or freedom of organizations in Gaza. In Gaza, there is one color, the color that is very affiliated with Hamas. And the main problem today of Israel, it is with Al Jazeera.
Some Western media outlets continue to spread Zionist slander and lies about our Palestinian people and their resistance, which falsely and slanderously promoted allegations that members of the Palestinian resistance beheaded children and assaulted women without any evidence to support their lies and claims. Hamas strongly condemns the baseless allegations.
The Jewish people are portrayed in a very negative way in Arab and Egyptian media. They are always looked at as enemies, not only from a political point of view, but also, unfortunately, from a religious point of view.
Here in Israel, but also in the Western world, we have the same challenge of defeating wrong narrative. You know, it's a wrong value, it's wrong values and another alternative culture that is being promoted.
Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism?
From the river to the sea! From the river!
Hate speech is a violation of all the college's code of conduct. Hate speech will not be allowed if they say it about a Muslim student group, but yet when it's somehow against Jews, these supposedly educated administrators went up to Congress, prepared for their testimony, and said, we can't say that it goes against our code. Absolutely absurd.
How did this happen? How is there an explosion of contemporary anti-Semitism, and how does funding affect this challenging time? On one level, the money is coming from Qatar. Most of the money is coming from Qatar. This tiny country of 350,000 people gives much more money than any other country in the world. The leaders of Qatar have a bay'ah. In Islam, a bay'ah is a spiritual oath to the Muslim Brotherhood. They follow all of the edicts and the fatwas of the Muslim Brotherhood. Yosef Qaradawi, who was the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood for many years, he always preached that the true believer, the true Muslim, is obligated to finish the work or complete the work of Hitler. Qatar has at least $1 trillion of money being used for soft power. So it's investing in universities, it's paying for PR companies in Washington, many PR companies in Washington.
What happened on October 7th actually fit the image of Jews in the East and the West, because Jews always live as a minority, persecuted, massacred, tortured, and this was okay. Why not? The problem is when Jews resist, when Jews give fight. This is something which the world, unfortunately, cannot take, because the role of Jews is to be massacred.
At the political level, we now know that the Muslim Brotherhood has an affiliate organization in the United States called American Muslims for Palestine, AMP, which is directly connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. And the AMP created SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine. And now we can confirm in a report that we published 2 days ago, they also created and support Jewish Voices for Peace.
After October 7th, what have we seen? A rebirth of anti-Semitic acts, a rebirth of hatred against Jews and hate speech. How disgusting is it that we have seen campus after campus where the displays against Israel are protected by campus security, and when the Jews or the pro-Israeli young people of those universities want to have a rally or want to have a display, they say, no, this is an incitement to violence. You've got to remove that display.
On October the 9th, these groups that have been operating on behalf and with the support of the Muslim Brotherhood at more than 250 campuses in North America, as these portrayed as these, anti-colonial, progressive, anti-racist student organizations. They went immediately, they officially said that they are Hamas. They are part of this terror organization, and they started to support the ideology, the political line of Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood and the Qatari regime and the Iranian revolutionary regime. They started calling for a global intifada, just like the Muslim Brotherhood, just like the Iranian revolutionary regime. They started calling and chanting from the river to the sea.
Quand ils disent du fleuve jusqu'à la mer, précisent jamais ni quel fleuve, ni quelle mer.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Free from what? Free from Jews, free from Judaism. Palestine will be free means the end of the state of Israel.
We don't want to stay. We don't want to stay. We want all of it. We want all of it. New York City, you will see. New York City, you will see. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea.
After October 7th, what have we seen? A rebirth of anti-Semitic acts, a rebirth of hatred against Jews and hate speech. And the hate speech starts and then it becomes hate action. Because all of this hatred, all of this verbal abuse against Jews and Israelis will result in a murderous act.
With security video showing what appears to be an Orthodox Jewish man being chased by cars with Palestinian flags in La Brea. And an LAPD hate crime investigation following an attack in Beverly Grove, allegedly started after a group of people yelled anti-Semitic slurs.
Israel haters found Israel in its weakest point. The Jew haters saw that Israel might be destroyed, that maybe this is the opportunity. Maybe this is the weakest point Israel ever was, and all you need to do is just to finish the job.
We're living in a time of a great economic crisis and dislocation. We have states that are very weak. We have states that are failing in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and South America. You have a migration and refugee crisis. This is causing the rise of right-wing extremism and nationalism and xenophobia. You have the radical left coming in these intellectual spaces of universities and the media of record, and political Islam. And all of these reactionary forces are attacking the democratic center. And all of these three very different social movements use anti-Semitism as a core element of their ideology, and it's almost the fuel, that's the gas that's driving these social movements.
The voices of the bad people who are calling for hatred, for anti-Semitism, for a continuous fight between Muslims and Jews, and even between Muslims and Christians, despite their voices are very loud right now, I am sure that they are not influential at all. And the good people, the number of the good people who are calling for peace, who want better relations, who want to live like normal human lives, are much bigger in numbers, and they are even more willing to act and to do work in support of peace.
October 7th revealed, and I would say reactivated, the inner strength of the Jewish people. And this strength is about the clear understanding and awareness of the solitude of Israel.
But we have to remember that the future leaders of the United States and other democratic countries, the next generation, are learning this hatred as a form of legitimate intellectual discourse. So our future leaders are going to be, influenced by this horrible anti-Semitic, anti-democratic worldview.